If I can interrupt your conversation, I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Nice to see a lot of new people here. And based on that, I'm going to go through some procedures that we normally do here, and a lot of you are not familiar with them, so I'm going to go through them anyway. We're going to run the meeting as we have in the past, and for those of you who haven't been here before, it'll be a first time and a review for those who have been here. You should have in your hand, if you're a registered voter, a voter card, and it should be signed. Please sign one side or the other. Please keep it with you. If you decide to leave the meeting, take it with you. Don't leave it here. We're going to proceed through the warrant article, dealing with the articles in order. I'm going to recognize a a school board member, budget committee chair, or a petitioner to make the first motion on each article. I'll ask for a second, and I will ask you to identify the seconder. The motioner will be allowed the first opportunity to speak to the motion. Following this, any voter in town may speak. I would ask that anyone wishing to speak line up at the center mic, show your voter card, state your name and address clearly so that we can make note in the minutes, and please address your comments or questions to me. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Be courteous to your fellow voters and give them an opportunity to speak before approaching the mic a second time. You may amend a motion on the floor by providing it in writing to me. There's paper and pencil available right here at the front of the room, or ask Brian to help with that. We'll only address one amendment at a time. When it appears we've reached the end of discussion, we'll move on to the next article. I'll recognize a motion to call a question only if you do so immediately upon being recognized, not after speaking to the issue. So no taking your ball and going home. I'll recognize motions for reconsideration of an amendment only after the vote on the amendment. Please speak clearly into the mic so that all can hear. We are taping this so that we can broadcast this on the cable. Be polite and quiet when others are speaking. Be respectful of others' opinions and their right to them. Keep your comments on the issues, not on the people. It'd be nice to finish tonight. I assume that we will, but if by 10:30 it appears we'll not be done by 11, I'll recess this meeting until the next date. And just as most of you probably know, but this is a no smoking facility. If you want to smoke, go across the street. I'm going to recognize Andy Schneider, if he would introduce his head table here.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Andy Schneider. I'm the Vice Chair of the Merrimack School Board. Missing this evening is Shannon Barnes, the Chair, who is unfortunately still not in town, so I'm covering for her tonight. To my right on the stage is Attorney Dean Eggert. We have the Superintendent, Marsh Chaffrey. To my left, we have School Board Member Cinda Guagliumi. We have Board Member Michael Thompson and Board Member Naomi Schoenfeld. To the back, on the far, to your right-hand side, we have Assistant Superintendent for Business, Matt Chevino. We have in the middle, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Mark McLaughlin. And we have School District Clerk, Pat Heinrich.
And Stan, I'm going to ask you if you'd introduce the Budget Committee that's here this evening.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. It's my pleasure to introduce the Budget Committee for 2017-2018. I'm Stan Heinrich. I am the Chair. Jordan Guagliumi is the Vice Chair. We have Kevin Bobbitt, Heather Gage, John Hanson, Amanda Hyde-Berger, David Ill, Shelley Jacoby, Carol Lang, Chuck Mower, Brandy Nunez, We have one vacant position from somebody moving out of town who had been elected and it stayed vacant. Also, the school board liaison to the budget committee was Naomi Schoenfeld. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with Article number 2. Article 1 is the election of officers, which will be on the ballot next month. Article 2, shall the Merrimack School Board be authorized to accept on behalf of the district without further action by the voters gifts, legacies, and devices of personal or real property which may become available to the district during the fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
A motion to move as read?
Mike, thank you. Second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Andy. Mike, you want to speak to this?
Yes, thank you. This article will allow the Merrimack School Board to accept gifts of personal or real property during the year, such as land. This article appears on the ballot every year in order to allow the school board to accept property on behalf of the district. If this article was not approved, all non-cash donations would have to come before the voters. This does not negate public discussion by the school board and would still require a vote by the board.
Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, Article 2 will move to the warrant as printed. Article 3, shall the district approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Merrimack School Board and the Merrimack Educational Support Staff Association, which calls for the following net increases in salaries and benefit at the current staffing level over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. 2018-2019 estimated amount is $245,594. 2019 to 20, $249,883, and 2020 to 21, $262,199. And further raise and appropriate the sum of $245,094 for the current fiscal year. Such sum representing the additional costs attributed to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at the current staffing levels. Do I have a motion?
I move that the article be accepted as read.
Thank you, Naomi. And a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Andy. Naomi, you want to speak to this?
Each year of the contract from 2018 to 2021 calls for a 3% pay increase and a 1% decrease in the amount the district contributes to the employee's health insurance based on the Access Blue New England HMO plan. In 2018-2019, the employee contribution based upon Access Blue New England HMO plan will increase from 9% to 10%, in 2019-20 from 10 to 11%, and in 2021 from 11 to 12%. This will provide a savings of approximately $50,000 per year to the district, or $150,000 in all over the term of the agreement. This contract also introduces a higher deductible plan to the employees in the first year of the contract that will both save the district and the employees money if they choose to enroll in May of 2018 for the 2018-19 school year. As you can see, the district is making efforts, as it has in the past, to more appropriately share the rising costs of health insurance with the support staff while trying to keep hourly wages from falling behind other area districts. The support staff is comprised of our custodians, mechanics, paraprofessionals, administrative assistants, kindergarten instructional assistants, library assistants, Title I tutors, and food service personnel. The school board and budget committee both support this article for some of our hardest working and least paid employees, and we hope you will also.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to Article 3? Seeing none, Article 3 will move to the ballot as printed. Article 4, shall the district, if Article 3 is defeated, authorize the school board to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 3 cost items only? Naomi?
I move that the article be accepted as read.
Thank you. And Cinda, second?
And I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Naomi, you want to speak to this?
This article gives the school board the option of calling one special meeting to discuss cost items only in the negotiated agreement if not passed by the voters. If we do not have this article on the warrant, we would have to petition Superior Court to get approval for a special meeting. The court only grants such meetings for emergency purposes.
Anyone else would like to speak to this article? Seeing none, Article 4 will move to the ballot as printed. Article 5, this is a special warrant article. Shall the district raise an appropriate amount up to $150,000, said sum not to exceed 10% of the unencumbered surplus funds remaining at the end of fiscal year 2017-18, and to transfer that amount to the school district capital reserve fund, previously established for the purpose of providing unanticipated and/or emergency repairs to all school district facilities.
I'll make a
Cinda?
motion.
Thank you. And Andy, that second?
Yep, I second, thank you.
Thank you. Cinda?
This article funds the existing capital reserve account for general unforeseen and therefore unbudgeted repairs to district facilities and equipment. During previous school years, the fund has been used to replace one section of the high school bleachers in the amount of $98,500, and most recently, $225,000 has been earmarked for the bat remediation project at Mastercola Upper Elementary School. After the payment for the bat remediation project, the fund will only have a balance of $5,000. This article will bring the total available for emergencies to approximately $155,000, which could be used for a boiler failure, non-functioning fire alarm panels, or a catastrophic computer hardware failure at the server level. These are just examples of potential expenditures that do not always coincide with the budget process. Any expenditures from this fund requires a vote of the school board.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak to Article number 5? Seeing none, Article 5 will move to the ballot as printed. Article 6, shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $214,826 for the purpose of pavement reconstruction at Thorntons Ferry Elementary School, to include the bus loop in front of the school and the lower parking lot?
I move that we accept the article as read.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cinda. Mike, you have the floor.
Thank you. This article appropriates $214,826 to resurface the bus circle in front of Thorntons Ferry Elementary School, as well as the lower parking lot in front of the playground due to deteriorating pavement conditions. The pavement in these areas has been undermined by the point of significant cracking because of the daily bus and motor vehicle usage. Over the years, we have maintained this area to the best of our ability with crack filling and sealing, but it is now time for a reconstruction and repaving of the entire area. We plan to coordinate our efforts with the Town of Merrimack, Department of Public Works, to get the best price per ton for asphalt and labor as we have in the past.
Anyone else to speak to Article 7? I'm sorry, Article 6.
Tim, 10 Hay, 5 Windy Hollow Circle. The previous article was listed as a special warrant article, and this one is not. Can you please explain why the difference?
I can.
Matt?
If the attorney doesn't want to take it, I can take it. When you're taking money from a capital reserve fund or you're putting money into a capital reserve fund, it's always designated as a special warrant article. Anything other than this, like the labor contract you saw, or something that just raises and appropriates a certain sum of money, is not classified as a special warrant article, unless deemed by the board.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that's completely accurate.
I think it is, but the attorney's right here.
Doesn't special warrant articles indicate that the money can only be spent on the items in the article?
Tim, there are other articles that could be special warrant articles.
Right.
In addition to this, but the reason that this one is because of the capital reserve fund.
Each warrant article
Well, that
that
was
you
the
have...
previous one. But
Can I interject? Sure. Each warrant article that you have has a specific purpose or subject matter.
Right.
If it's a special warrant article or not a special warrant article, it can only be spent for that purpose and purpose alone, regardless how it's classified. This is classified as special because by law, it's dealing with a capital reserve fund, the other one, the previous one,
Okay.
and therefore has to be a special warrant article.
I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article number 6? Seeing none, it will move to the ballot as printed. Article 7, shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $275,000 for the purpose of purchasing one certain tract of or parcel of land of approximately .68 acres, more or less, with a building thereon known as 1 Brentwood Drive, Merrimack, New Hampshire, as described in the Town of Merrimack assessing records as parcel ID 005D-4 00013 zeros, currently owned by the Southeastern Regional Educational Service Center. Andy?
I move that we place Article 7 on the ballot as read.
Second.
And second, thank you, Mike. Andy?
So if the audience will bear with me, I have a couple of slides to show. First of all, the slides that I'm going to show are currently on the school district website. That's www.sau26.org. It's only 4 slides, but I think the pictorial of where this property is and the reasons why we're proposing this may be clearer if we go through this. So if I ask the indulgence of the board so that we can move, and then I'll move to the podium. Hopefully this works. Ta-da. Is that in focus? Close enough? Thanks. So apologies to the audience in the room, but the way things are set up, my back's going to be to you a little bit as I talk. But the concept is that we are proposing through this warrant article to purchase property that is currently co-resident to the school complex in the middle of town. So the next slide is a graphic. This is from a Google map. If you look at this graphic, I apologize, it's not really clear because of the lights, but I think we can do it. This is the loop that comes down. This is McElwain Street coming down, the loop in front of the high school, and that's O'Gara Drive heading back out. So this is sort of that loop if you've been to the high school where it is. Merrimack High School is at the bottom. As you see the sidewalk in front and the entrance is there. This building here that says SAU is the current, what's called the green building. It's where the superintendent's office is. This building right here that's called SPED is currently known as the blue building. It's where the special services office is at. Whoa, that's better. Thanks. Oh, I can see. The property in question is circled here. This is called 1 Brentwood Drive. Those of you that have probably driven by this forever have assumed that it's part of the school district, when in fact, it's been owned by an entity called Southeastern Regional Education Services, which I'll talk about in a second. So the purpose of this slide is to show you where this building is and give you a little background as why it's of interest to the school district when we were approached about it. Here's a picture from Google, a street view. This is what's called the red building, if you've ever seen it. It's a building that's been added on several times over the years, but its real value isn't necessarily the structure as much as it is the location of where it's at, the foundation, the location of the utilities, and things along those lines. So this is sort of a view looking from what is known as Brentwood Drive. So a little bit of background. Why is it on the ballot to purchase? So as I mentioned, it's currently owned by Southeastern Regional Educational Services, or SERESC. SERESC is the entity that serves the whole southern part of the state and offers consulting services and special capabilities around special needs, like OT, PT, feeding, swallowing, a lot of those sort of specialized services, psychology. They serve all the different districts. This entity owned this property for many years, and it was used as a special school. You may have heard it called the Brentwood School. It's been around for several decades, serving sort of a special needs alternative school. The school district was approached directly by SERESC probably about 4 or 5 months ago if we had interest in purchasing the building. The reason is because SERESC was selling the building due to a change in their charter. They owned a building for conferences. It was in Bedford, you may have been to for a training event. They also owned this building. But because they're getting sort of back to their roots in terms of what they do, They're downsizing. They sold the building in Bedford, and now they have to sell this. It's owned by the bank, not by Ceresca at this point. So the bank was controlling the sale of the property. So the school district, the administration, and the attorney had lengthy negotiations with the bank to try to come up with a sale price that made sense. After probably a good couple of months of negotiations, we entered into what's known as a conditional purchase and sales agreement. That means that there's a purchase and sales agreement for the property, but it only is approved if the voters approve it at the ballot in April. And this agreement was entered into during January to purchase the property, land, buildings, everything, sort of lien-free, for $275,000. And just to give you an idea, the land value alone is assessed by the town of Merrimack at $200,000. The property's a whole lot more. We don't think the property value is accurate. But because of the foundation that's on it, the land where it's at, the size of the land, $275,000 we believe is a fair price for this property, given the fact that the bank will not go any lower in price than what they have presented us here. So the question is, so now I said what it is, so why do we want to do it? Well, whenever you have a property that abuts something that you own, like a school district property, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. If this gets sold to anybody else, we lose control of that property. We don't know what could be there. Chances are it could be condo, it could be a house, it could be something else. This gives a very unique opportunity to have a prime location of property. Now, we've talked a lot about the future of an SAU SPED building. We are not talking about costing and designing a SPED building in this warrant article. All it is to purchase this property. We believe at the school board and at the planning and building level that this property provides probably one of the most viable options that we have to address the needs for the SAU SPED building over time, whether it is completely raising it, rebuilding the structure. There's all the options are on the table. Nothing has been cast in concrete or anything at this point. But once we own it, once we're able to get it, it offers us the opportunity to openly work with vendors and the community on what that go-forward strategy is. You know, we're not locked into a particular vendor, a particular design. We can have an open bid process. We can create open and structured dialogue for the building options, the creation of formal RFPs, and the bidding process. And one of the things that we'd like to see is get all the local vendors involved and maybe able to contribute and keep the money that we spend in Merrimack with the vendors that could be doing construction. So that's one of the concepts that we're thinking about with this building. It does have value in an interim usage. The building, if we needed to use the current structure for anything formal school-like, there would need to be changes that we'd have to make. However, if we want to use it for activities or meetings or things like that in the interim, it certainly can be used over the next year while we go through and look at the design of what this building could offer. So those of you who haven't been inside, it has a small gym, has classrooms, meeting rooms, it has kitchen area, it has a lot of storage. It has a lot of value what it currently is. And as I said, it's a better location than anything we've considered because all the utilities are right there and it's right in the middle of the school complex. So anyway, Madam Moderator, that's what I had prepared for this warrant article.
Thank you, Andy. This is Article 7. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to Article 7? Tim, you heading up?
Yeah, Tim, 10A5 Windy Hollow Circle. I have a few questions about the purchase. Is the $275,000
Tim, would you move your mic up a little bit so...
Sure.
Thank
Is that better?
Yeah.
So is the $275,000 strictly for the purchase of the building, or does that include any other additional costs or other things?
Andy, you want to do that?
Tim, it's just for the purchase of the property, the building, the land, so we'd own it lien-free, the property.
So what about the maintenance costs, the heat, the electricity, the other things that need to happen to keep the building in a viable fashion?
So Matt, you want to talk to the upkeep costs?
Yeah, those are minimal, $3,000 to $4,000 a year, perhaps, if we run it, with unoccupied, with having people go in from time to time. So that can be subsumed in the maintenance budget already.
Was there a level 1 environmental assessment done on the property? That's the minimal environmental assessment, looking for hazardous waste, asbestos, oils, other contaminants that could be in the ground. It's a heavily used building. It's been used for many years.
Well, that's something that we're going to be doing if we indeed purchase it.
Is that
If
a
after
contingent?
after we purchase it, if we find those things, that according to the purchase and sale agreement could void the sale, allow us to back out, or allow us to negotiate another price.
Okay, so that's built into your agreement then?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. All right. The reason why I asked these questions is while I was a counselor, we also purchased land adjacent to town property, and eventually that building was raised. But in the process of having that building, we had some expenses that we didn't anticipate on that building, which had to be absorbed by the town budget. So I just was curious of what contingencies you'd put into the school budget to manage those kinds of things. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Anyone else speaking to Article 7?
Oops.
You heading up here?
Bring it back down. I'm Alexandra Lana, and I live at 7 Shady Lane here in
Alexander,
Merrimack.
you have a pink card?
Yes, I do. Oh, I left it at my seat. Do you
Okay.
need me to go grab it?
No, that's all right.
Okay. I guess I'm just confused, and I just want to make sure I understand. Are we going to be segregating children with special needs into this school?
This is only to purchase this building. The use of
Right.
it,
And then
the use
also
of it has not been determined yet.
So
the long-needed combined SAU/SPED facility.
I'll-
Is this
you know-
segregating the
Go
children?
ahead, Andy.
So today, there are two essentially administration structures in Merrimack. The SAU building, which is where superintendent and all of her business and administrative staff is. And then there's the special services building where the director of special services resides, some of his staff, as well as rooms to do evaluations of students part of the special needs. So it's not, nobody's taught there. It's just a part of the function of special education. The idea is we need new facilities for those functions. So there's been a plan off and on for the last several years to create a new building that combines all of these functions into one building so that the district's special services or special student for special, it has a new name, but essentially it's the special ed director, has the facility to be able to do the evaluations he needs to do, to have the parent meetings he needs to do. It's a place to have it sort of outside of the schools, but completely separate. But it's not segregating students by any chance. This is
So they'll still be integrated
Oh,
in
absolutely.
in
No,
the
no.
school?
The function doesn't change. I mean, the Merrimack Special Education function doesn't change at all. This is just where their administration would reside and where they would do, any sort of individual testing that need to be done.
It's an
Have the right
admin
rooms.
building, not a classroom building.
Yeah, and record storage and things like that.
Okay, I guess I was just confused, given your presentation saying the SPED facility. So thank you for
Well,
clarifying.
that's, right, if you didn't have the background context, you wouldn't know what the SAU SPED was.
That's why I'm
but
asking.
There you go. That's it.
Any further discussion on Article 7? Seeing none, it'll move to the ballot as printed. Going to Article 8. Shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $878,450 to implement full-day public kindergarten in the 3 elementary schools? Such sum to include $808,901 in additional salaries and benefits, and $69,549 for the original equipping of additional public kindergarten classrooms. Naomi?
I move that the article be accepted as read.
And Cinda, we
I
have a second?
second.
Thank you. Naomi, you want to speak to this?
Yes, please. The Merrimack School District has offered a half-day kindergarten program since 2005. This article, if passed, would allow us to offer full-day kindergarten program at the 3 elementary schools. The recurring cost of the program will be an additional $808,000, with startup costs for furniture and curriculum materials being a one-time amount of $69,000. Due to the kindergarten grant of $264,000, the net cost of this full-day program will be $614,000. Municipal budget law requires us to show the full cost of the program and record the kindergarten grant money as estimated revenue. The Merrimack School District seeks to provide a comprehensive, meaningful, and rigorous full-day kindergarten program, which research shows can have positive long-range societal and economic effects, such as enhanced social and emotional development, improved overall health and wellness, reduced dropout rates, reduced delinquency, increased reading proficiency, and overall increased academic achievement. Approximately 164 towns in New Hampshire offer a full-day kindergarten program, with 10 towns considering this program for 2018-19, and only 15 left in the state that will remain offering a half-day program. The timing seems right to offer a full-day program given the financial aid to offset the cost. From an educational perspective and community development standpoint, it seems the right move to make.
We're on Article 8. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to Article 8? Seeing none, Article 8 will move to the ballot as printed. Article 9. Shall the district raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $74,817,416. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $75,153,005, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the district or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, Roman numeral X 10 and 16, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Stan?
Madam Moderator, I would ask, and I've been asked by one of the other participants this evening, would you accept a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 8?
I certainly will. Do we have a second? Thank you, Brian. All those in favor of restricting reconsideration on Article 8, this means this article cannot come back up tonight. Raise your pink cards. Well, pretty easy decision there. Thank you very much, Stan.
You're welcome. Madam Moderator, I move Article 9 as printed, that the school district's operating budget for the ensuing year is $74,817,416. This is the budget that they use every day of the week. It pays salaries, it pays for the lights in the building, pays to educate the children in the Merrimack School District, pays to plow the roads in the school district and keep things safe.
I assume you've got a second coming?
I'm sorry, I thought I heard one.
Not on this. Do we have a second?
I apologize.
Thank you. Okay. Now you can proceed.
This amount, as you notice, is less than the default budget. The default budget is $75,153,005. That budget is set through the Assistant Superintendent for Business with the approval of the school board, and it is done by a formula set by the Department of Revenue Administration. The operating budget that we are looking at is a 0.74% increase over last year. With all the rising costs that we have had, that's pretty darn good. The Budget Committee added $6,000 to that amount for very specialized training. And at this time, I would like the Budget Committee member who proposed this to come up and explain the reasons why. And that Budget Committee member is Heather Gage.
Thank you, Stan. Good evening. For almost 20 years, the Merrimack School District and Police Department have shared a common goal of ensuring that our schools have a safe and healthy environment for teaching and learning. The School Resource Officer, or SRO program, is a collaborative effort by our local law enforcement, educators, students, parents, and the community. The original design of this program is a triad approach where the SRO is part teacher, part counselor, and part police officer. Our hope is that our resource officers can focus their time on providing valuable resources to school personnel, fostering positive relationships with students and families, and developing strategies to resolve problems that affect our students with a goal of protecting all who enter our schools so they can reach their fullest potential. Unfortunately, our current reality also includes a drug epidemic, national increases of school-related shootings, and our educators and students increasingly being impacted by mental illness and trauma. With all of this, we need to consider the investment this district makes in ensuring our SROs have specific and the most up-to-date training regarding the work we expect them to accomplish in our schools. This is our responsibility. Professional learning and cross-training must be an expectation for every member of our school team, and we need to ensure the resources are available to make that a reality. I requested, and the Budget Committee approved, that we add $6,000 into the district's professional development accounting unit to pay for our two SROs to attend 2 trainings in the next school year. The expectation would be that the SROs would bring back the knowledge they received and cross-train others as we continue to prioritize high-quality and safe learning environments for our school community. Examples of training include, but are certainly not limited to, the National Association for School Resource Officers and the School Safety 911 annual conferences, where these trainings are various topics such as threat assessments, trauma-informed schools, recognizing signs of extremism, de-escalating techniques, crisis management, understanding adolescent development, mental health and treatment, effective social media safety, developing environments for prevention, risk management for interscholastic and after-school activities. Additionally, programs like the ALICE training and many others provide knowledge and skills and ways to stay alive in an active shooter situation, which of course we hope we never have the experience here. Our hope that our community will support this critical addition to our school district's budget and recognize the importance of professional learning for all in our school community. The more effective and up-to-date tools we all have, the safer our students will be. Thank you.
And just to clarify, this money is already in the budget that is listed on here. It's not a separate, not an amendment, it's not a separate anything. It's already included. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to Article 9? God, you're making my job easy tonight. Seeing none, Article 9 will move to the ballot as printed. And since there is no Article 10,
Madam Moderator, I move we adjourn.
I'll go along with that. Remember, folks, all of these articles, along with the elections, are going to be next month. So if you care about them, show up. And the town deliberative session is next Wednesday. Thank you. Have a nice evening.